All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Fundamentals of America, presented to you by the 606 Conservatives, aka me, D-Train, Nate, Ronnie, and sometimes Masson when he's not, in a place that has really bad Wi-Fi. I got a couple topics today we're going to talk about. So the first thing I have on the agenda is Georgia uncovered more than 2,600 uncounted ballots in Floyd County in Georgia. So, Nate, do you got any thoughts on that? Do you think there's some more ballots out there that ain't been counted yet?
Guys, how do you lose? I mean, has anybody seen 2,600 sheets of paper? How much of a stack that is? How do you lose 2,600 votes in a single county? Um, this gets more fishy every day. Um, Man, when's it ever going to end? I'll be honest with you, Chris. I'd say there are a lot more ballots out, but the more I watch the news, the more I see everything, the more I think that it's probably not going to matter. Uh, but it will matter. Uh, Not just this election. It's going to affect a lot more than just this single election. This election is going to go down, and it's going to be a bad, bad time for our country the next 20 to 30 years, I think.
Ronnie D-Train?
I'll go ahead and go. Yeah, I seen the news about it unveiled 2,600 uncounted votes. They state that it was by one machine that they didn't turn in. They forgot to turn in the key from one machine. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to find enough to take back Georgia because of 14,000 vote deficit. But and I don't think this is going to change the election. The more and more I see, I don't think that Donald Trump will be president. I think Joe Biden will be president. Um, do I think Joe Biden won this race fairly? I do not. I think it was rigged in certain ways, in ways that you're not going to be able to figure it out. I hate to say that. I thought President Trump done an awesome job his 4 years as our president. I think he got a lot of things done. I do not think Joe Biden will be able to get as much done in 4 years because all it's going to be is knockdown, drag out war his whole time in office.
All right, Ronnie, hold on before you start. What you said there, you said like rigged. There's a difference between stealing an election and rigging an election. Now, there's ways you can rig an election by how the media's done stuff. They rigged the election by showing all these polls saying Joe Biden's up this many points. That's going to discourage some voters from going out and voting. They're going to be like, well, Trump don't stand a chance. And that's the way that the media rigs that, and they'll talk bad about one candidate and only talk good about the other, and that's the way they rig that. So I do think there's some fishy stuff going on, but the rigging of the election, I think, was mostly done by the media, by just how bad they treated Trump. But go ahead, Ronnie.
I don't really have anything much different to say other than it's kind of what a lot of Republicans expected, just a small dose of it. I mean, 2,600, was it 2,600 or 2,100? Either way, over 2,000 ballots uncounted found in one county. That's just in one county. So that goes to show, few ballots here, a few ballots there, and a couple different counties been tampered with or uncounted. The next thing you know, Joe Biden's our president. And like D-Train said, I don't think that they'll reverse anything. I don't think that it'll come out to really nothing. But it is a shame because Donald Trump accomplished much more than almost any other president in one term. And for him to go down like this is kind of pitiful. It kind of makes me upset and makes me sad as well. I don't know what to think of it.
I want to say this real fast, Chris, before we move on. Also in Georgia, they've President Donald Trump has asked and for an audit of all the votes in Georgia. Well, they're hand counting every vote in Georgia, but the sad part is they won't look at the signatures. They're just hand counting the votes, but they're not looking at the signatures. So that makes no sense to me.
It's just a way for them to say, oh, yeah, it's the most, like everybody's come out last week, oh, it's the most secure election we've ever had in the United States. Bull crap. They're counting stuff that honestly aren't legal votes, and we all know it. And that's when Trump said stop the count. Everybody like to say, oh, well, Trump wants to stop everybody from counting votes. No, he wants to stop the count of illegal votes. He wants all legal votes to be counted. There was ballots casted in places like Pennsylvania after 8 o'clock, after polls done closed. They shouldn't have been counted, and they're being counted still. And it just, we're entering into a dark time. I mean, I hate to be pessimistic about it, but with Democrats in control, we're entering in a really, really dark time. And this is something I've seen today, is that Latino voters who voted for Trump and they fled dictatorships since Trump's been in office, feared that the election was stolen from Donald Trump. And this is just, I mean, that's an issue right there. You got people that fled dictatorships, they know what that looks like. They're going to notice that before any of us would. Some of us have brains and we're going to notice what's going on. But a lot of people are blind and they just watch the news and they just believe whatever the news tell you. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes than what we know about.
Guys, we're so used to living in a country where, no matter if you like a president, no matter if you like a stance on an issue, still we always respected our leaders. We always respected our congressmen, our senators. We always respected our president. I mean, this is how I always raised it. I think the country mostly was the same. These people, look at the southern Miami population, the southern Florida population there of Haitians and people from the Caribbean that have moved. They come from vastly socialist countries that controlled every single aspect of their lives. Um, they had nothing, no social media without. Look today what's happening in our social media. We are being controlled, and it's been that way for about 10 years. But it has quadrupled or more in the last 4 years because Donald J. Trump, because he fought the establishment. He has been for all Americans, no matter what anyone says. And that's why the minorities are catching on and agreeing with Trump more because they're seeing their livelihood is better under Trump. And they've seen the best of what America had under Donald J. Trump. And now they hear echoes of socialism. They hear echoes of all these things, and it worries them. And they've had elections stolen from them in the past. They know how people are manipulated. They know how populations are manipulated. How did an entire country in the 1940s be manipulated into thinking that killing other human beings is a good thing? What you do is you start calling them names, you dehumanize them, you have cancel culture, you start book burning, you start tearing down the establishment that's already in place. And what are we seeing? We're seeing today, I've seen reports that books are being burned all across this country that have conservative values. Boys, my gosh, we've got to stand up and take this country back. We can. There's a very, very thin line, and we must stand up and dig in our heels. We cannot be pushed around like this. I'm not calling for any kind of fighting. I'm calling for an actual honest look at our country and our values. People are not even realizing how they're being manipulated, and it is pitiful. So yeah, I'd say they do. They do think it feels like it's stolen. Because let's be honest, 100,000 votes don't just show up overnight, and it don't take a country freaking a month to count ballots in an election that hasn't been stolen. So that's all.
Well, I hate to be. I mean, I think I've harped on this in our 3 episodes before more than anybody else that the Democratic Party is turning into complete socialism, and honestly, let's be honest, it's starting to become more communism more than anything. Uh, like you said, they're controlling our social media now, which honestly I think should be protected underneath the First Amendment rights. They're pretty much going after your First Amendment. Twitter, anytime Donald Trump posts anything about the election, uh, maybe considering that it's rigged, immediately gets flagged and there's a disclaimer put on it. They've never done that to Joe Biden one time. Uh, they don't do that to Democrats on Twitter because, let's be honest, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, is working hand in hand with them. He's a part of that swamp. Facebook does the same thing. Um, and I said this before and I'll say it again. Socialism and communism are next door neighbors who share the same backyard. Socialism is a gateway to communism. What'll happen is one day they keep feeding you and feeding you and feeding you more socialist things. Oh, here's this, here's this, here's this. Join, and one day you'll wake up and realize, oh wow, you're in a full-fledged communist, democracy or whatever. Well, it wouldn't be a democracy anymore. It'd be a communist government that controls your every aspect. Like the other day, I seen Kamala Harris tweet. She put a tweet out. It said, "Me and Joe are going to wake up every day, and we're going to be thinking about you and your family." I don't want that from a president. I do not want a president that sits there and wants to work with me as an individual. I want a president that cares about the country as a whole. I could care less if Susie down the road's doing good. I want this whole country to succeed. I can take care of myself. I don't need you to do it for me. D-Train, Ronnie, got anything to say here?
Yeah, I just got a tweet from none other than President Trump, and it says that ongoing election audit confirmed 2,755 previously uncounted votes in Fayette County, Georgia. 1,577 were for Trump, and 1,128 were for Biden. So, I don't know if we knew that or not, but he just tweeted that. And that goes to show you that something, if it's happened in 2 counties in Georgia, then in my opinion, it's happened all over Georgia. And that's was a key state to watch. So that'll go to that goes to show you that something odd and fishy has happened during this election. You can take it how you want to, but I mean, common sense will tell you something has went wrong.
I'll just say this real fast. I don't think, as bad as I hate to say it, I don't think President Trump will win re-election. I think it's already pretty much a finished deal that Joe Biden will be our president. And just like everyone else, I truthfully do not believe that Joe Biden is a socialist / communist. I think Joe Biden is a puppet to the Democratic Party. He's going to do what they want. And the biggest question is, how long does Joe Biden finish as president in a 4-year term? So whenever Joe Biden does leave office, if he does, then you've got Kamala Harris, which will become the president of the United States, which is a part of that socialist bandwagon. Kamala Harris has endorsed a Green New Deal from AOC. Kamala Harris has endorsed a lot of these socialist, communist type deals. So our country is in deep trouble. How are we going to get out of it? Republicans, conservatives, we all need to stand our ground. Just speaking on what Chris was saying a minute ago about how they're monitoring social media, taking away that free speech. It's no different typing a message out on Twitter than it is sitting in the streets chanting for stuff you believe in. So, I mean, it's no different. Democrats can say whatever they want on Twitter, and do they get tagged by anything from Twitter? No, but when the President Trump, the GOP, anybody posts anything on Twitter, it's tagged about a fact check underneath them or something like that. So they are attacking our First Amendment. They're going to start attacking our Second Amendment right. They're going to start attacking our freedom that our forefathers gave to us. And like I said, we're going to have to stand up for our values and what we believe in. They're also going to probably tell you what church you can go to and what church you can't.
Well, like you just expanded on. I mean, Joe Biden. I don't think Joe Biden's never been a socialist. He's not. He's been. I mean, he's gotten more progressively liberal as times went on. He was pretty like moderate when he first started, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, he done some things like the crime bill and stuff. He's kind of like, well, that's kind of liberal. He's openly been racist before, but no one ever wants to talk about it. But Trump, he does all this stuff for black people and still gets considered racist. I don't understand it. But Kamala Harris, like speaking on, they're going to tell you what you can and can't do. She's wanting to put a daggone limit on how much meat you can buy and eat in a year. If that ain't communism, I don't know what is. That right there is straightened, and I mean that's open communism. I don't know what their obsession is with it. It's never worked in any. I mean, the only country it worked in was the Soviet. It was the Soviet Union, and it failed. It worked for what 20 years or so, more maybe a little bit longer than that, and it failed because the people got tired of it. It's not a government that can withstand for a long time because you start running out of resources because you ration it out so much.
I mean, Chris, our country is great because we are free. The moment we start losing freedoms is the moment where our country becomes a dark, dark, dark place. But you was talking about you and D Train both highlighted it that Joe Biden is himself not a socialist. True, but also Joe Biden is whatever he needs to be to get elected. Like any other swamp donkey of a politician, and Democrats and Republicans, they do exactly. They say something to their constituents. They go to Washington and they say something else to the Washington establishment. So no, today he's technically not a socialist, but I guarantee you, you come January 20th, he'll be hearing from all sides and be taking in who he wants.
All right, so I got something pulled up here. I want to read. It's kind of interesting here. It was. I'm just gonna read this straight from the website. I would screen share it, but I mean it's been a little laggy. It says in 1963, Congressman Albert Sidney Herlong Jr., he was a Democrat from Florida, introduced the United States House of Representatives a list of goals the USA Communist Party created, 45 in total. It says grant recognition of Communist China to the United Nations, promote the United Nations as the only hope for mankind, capture one or both political parties in the USA, get control of the schools and use them as transmission belts for communist and socialist propaganda, use student rights to foment public protests, infiltrate the press. That's done happened. Gain control of radio, TV, and motion pictures. That's done happened. Break down cultural standards of morality. That's happening right now. Infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible. That's happening. Eliminate prayer and any religious expression in schools. That's happened. Discredit the American Constitution. The Democrats attack it left and right every single day. Discredit the American Founding Fathers. That's going on today. Belittle all forms of American history. That's happening today. Discredit and dismantle the FBI. That's not happening, but it's because they took the FBI over and it works for them. Infiltrate and gain control of unions. Unions are pretty much a thing of the past. Transfer powers of arrest from the police to social agencies. Treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders. That's something we just seen back in June, and that's happening up in Minnesota right now. I mean, it's Lord of mercy. Discredit the family, promote easy divorce. I ain't seen that one yet. I'm sure it'll come. Emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of their parents. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of American culture and society. For anyone who wants to read all of them, a simple internet search of 1963 communist goals will deliver the list in its entirety. That was just a short little list, but let's see how many there was there. About 20 on that website right there. How many did I say that's already happening right now? There was a 45. It was a list of 45. they're following that list of the USA Communist Party to a T. They're slowly making their way through every bit of it. They got the press, they got TV, they got motion pictures. People who come out as conservatives in Hollywood get blacklisted. They don't let them in anymore. The Communist Party, it's not just socialist anymore. I mean, it's blatant communist. The Communist Party is alive, and it's the Democratic Party.
Share that on our page, Chris.
The sad thing is, there was a time in America where no matter if you was a Democrat or Republican, you hated a communist. You did not like a communist. They stood against everything you stand for. And if you want to see the era of this, just go back to the 80s when my favorite president of all time, Ronald Reagan, was president, and watch his Berlin Wall speech. I mean, there was a time when America stuck it to communists. We don't like communists. I mean, that's a stereotypical American. It should be all across the world. We don't like communists. We hate them. We fear communist takeover. We want to spread capitalism. And look today. The very thing that we've stood up against for years and years and years, almost since our country's been founded, is now going to try to bite us from within. And it's honestly, it's not a war, like a world war, nothing crazy like that. This is one of the biggest tasks America will have to face, is fighting a battle from within, is fighting off its own Democratic Party, which is turned rogue. As one of us said before, I don't remember who, said the Democratic Party, the people didn't leave the Democratic Party left the people. So, I don't know. It's definitely something that, as y'all said, we got to stand up, put our feet in the ground, and stand up for. Or, as you said, sooner or later we'll open our eyes in America and it'll look like Soviet Russia. So I don't know.
All right, well, I mean, it's just baffling to me after so long. The Cold War, especially. I mean, I hate to talk about Call of Duty, but it's brought up a lot of interest to me to study the Cold War. Back then, everybody, the majority of the countries in the world hated communists. They hated Russia. They hate China. But now today, for some reason, there's just an infatuation with, wow, look at what we can do. We can control everybody's lives. I want to have this big power, and I can tell everybody what to do. It's really just their egos. Their egos are so big, and they don't want to be able to, they don't want you to be able to make your own decisions. They want to make them for you. Hey, Train, you got anything to say on this?
Yeah, so I was just looking at some different things. So I was looking at the Communist Party of the United States, which sadly there is a Communist Party of the United States. And it's funny, the Communist Party of the United States endorses the socialism for America. And they support
What a coincidence.
defund democracy. Just, there's no difference between communism and the Nazi Party. There's no difference. They want to control every movement you make. They want to control every job you hold. They want to control what you spend your money on. And that is where our Democratic Party is coming to. So, if you, all we talk about is how great America is and how great the American dream is. Well, if you succeed with your American dream and you go make over $400,000 a year, well, no, not so fast. We're going to tax all that from you because we need to give it out to people that's too lazy to go out and work, too lazy to do anything. And what a shame it is that these entrepreneurs that bring in these big companies and businesses that give millions of people jobs, that we're going to tax them to death so we can give to people that's unwilling to do anything. So that's going to destroy the middle class. Communists do not like supporting the middle class. They want to support the poor because they want to be in control. Politics are unable to be in control over the middle class because we can make our own money. We can go do our own things. But if you're poor and you're struggling, you can't find a job because nobody wants to open a company in the United States because of how much they get taxed for having money, this country is going to fall apart because we will have nothing but poor.
That also kind of kills your initiative. Uh, when you're younger or growing up, whatever, you're not gonna want to grow up and be a big great success like you would in today's democracy or capitalist America. You will grow up and you will say, well, the government is paying for this, the government's paying for this, doing that, doing blah blah blah. They'll take care of me. And then once you do that, you are forever in debt to what is now communist America. You know, if it plays out like they're wanting to, and when you're in debt to communists, then you're in a bad way because your life will be ruined and it will be run by everyone in the government but yourself.
All right. So, speaking of our great Communist Party, the Democrats in the United States, we've got a new segment that we've introduced into the Fundamentals of America podcast. It is the Swamp Donkey of the Week. I think I'm going to nominate one, and I'll let you all nominate one too. My Swamp Donkey of the Week is AOC. She has been all in the news complaining and whining about how Democrats have, people just keep blaming them for being progressive. They're just being progressive, pushing all these radical ideas. It's not their fault. The American people just need to open their eyes. This and that. Oh, she cried about how the Democrats lost the majority in the House when they actually have them. I mean, she's so dumb that she doesn't realize that they maintain the majority. She's that dumb. I mean, I don't know how in the world she went from being a bartender to a congresswoman in New York. I guess New York's just a lost cause. They're just as bad as California. Well, New York City, I'll say. It's not the state of New York. The state of New York is majority red, but you got New York City down there. It ruins it for everybody, just like California with L.A. County. But my Swamp Donkey of the Week is AOC. I'm sure she'll probably win this for me a lot, just because of how much she's in the news, just saying dumb stuff like the Green New Deal. All right, so whoever wants to take on next, Nate, give your nomination.
I mean, guys, we call this podcast the Fundamentals of America. And so usually my train of thought goes around when we think of something negative. I don't necessarily think as a negative always as a Democrat or Republican issue. I think it is being something that goes against the fundamentals of America. And I think Chris's AOC nomination, absolutely, she is against the fundamentals of America. I'm going to bring up some more. I'm going to nominate, I go either way with this one, but I'm going to go ahead and nominate Mark Zuckerberg because Facebook has we all use it and we all were baited into using it. Now they are controlling it as you would be controlled in a communist country. So my nomination for Swamp Donkey has got to be Mark Zuckerberg because my goodness, he is right entwined with everything that's bad about this country. I thought Facebook was a great thing, and I feel it is to some extent. But when you start censoring the President of the United States, my goodness, what a Swamp Donkey.
Well, mine's probably going to be someone you wouldn't expect. Or, well, you probably will expect it once I say it, but you're probably not thinking of him right now. Is Andrew Cuomo, Governor Cuomo of New York. He, the reason I say that is because no matter what Trump has done, Trump has supported New York through this pandemic over and over and over again, knowing that Democrats are in control and he'll never get credit for it, but he's supported them the best to his ability. And Cuomo, however you say it, has been critical of him and disagreed with everything he does and acts like Trump's, awful. Oh, God. And, but recently, the reason I say that is there is a vaccine that is 94.5% effective against the virus, and it's coming out hopefully relatively soon. And every major news channel's been talking about it. And Fox News said that Cuomo said that he disagrees with Trump and said that he needs to rethink his vaccine and vaccination, and all this, that, and the other. And really, what that boils down to for me is he is no different than people like Nancy Pelosi, who won't sign a stimulus package until Trump's not president. When Biden becomes president, if there's not a vaccine yet and it comes under his presidency, it don't matter if it's 50% effective instead of 94%. I'm sure Andrew Cuomo will be very supportive of him. And but let's not mention the millions of dollars the federal government's gave New York under President Trump. Kind of makes me sick.
All right, so mine, drum roll, would be Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Love
I
that
think-
picture behind you.
I think Nancy Pelosi is a awful Speaker of the House. I don't think she deserves to be the Speaker of the House. She has done very embarrassing things as a Speaker, to be such a prestigious row of America, to be the third wing underneath the President of the United States. I think Nancy Pelosi is just a crook. Nancy Pelosi would not downplay socialism. She would not do it. The House members in the Democratic Party told her, we need to say we are not a socialist party because we will lose the House in 2 years. She would not do it. She said, listen, we kept control of the House, so the American people must like it. Well, that's again what's wrong with our Democratic Party. They want to do what they think the American people like and what's not right for the American people. They want to just go on the big trends that's happening now. And just, this is our first segment, just things that Nancy Pelosi has done. The most disgusting thing I've ever seen a human being do was rip up the presidential speech during his union speech. And what a disgrace of a human being. I think she'll end up being the speaker again, but in 2 years, she will not be the speaker because the Republicans, they're coming for the House.
FDR is a great example of why the Democratic Party is the way it is today. At the time, the liberal programs he put into place was a great idea to get American people back on their feet. But after they got back on their feet, they should have been took away. And I think they look back on these things that have happened in previous times, like all those programs. Like, hey, well, maybe the American people love these programs because they're lazy. Oh, we'll give it to them. We'll give this to them, and they'll just keep voting for us, so we can keep money and we can stay in power. They don't care about the American people at all. The thing is they want to tell you how to live your life. Nancy Pelosi is a great swamp donkey. She honestly should probably be the logo of swamp donkey. She looks like one. She, for years now, since 2016, since Donald Trump's been in there, all she's done is make Donald Trump's life a living hell as president. He can't get anything done that he wanted to get done because she was there to step in the way, ripping up that speech, doing all this, just talking about him bad in the news, the press. She is somebody that is an exact example of why there should be congressional term limits. Not a lot of Republicans are for congressional term limits for some reason, but I think it's a great way to prevent the swamp from being expanded.
Because they're the same exact way, Chris. That's
like the Republican swamp. You got Mitt Romney, idiot. He's an idiot. John Kasich, idiot. Ronnie, I know you love John Kasich, but he's an idiot. The Bushes, we talked about this last episode, named all these people. And that's why they hated Trump, because he wasn't a part of that swamp. He wasn't a part of them, and that's why they hate him. That's why they want him out, and that's why they do anything to get rid of him. All right, now, speaking of dumb people, This new segment. I am personally going to do this segment every week. No offense to you guys. I wanted to throw this on you just to get your reactions. The new segment. It's an award. It's called the Ron. The Ron. Yes. This award goes to Al Gore for saying all the dumb things he says. Ronnie is kind of outlandish sometimes. He says some wild things, so that's why I thought it was fitting we'd name it the Ron. Al Gore is a man who has said a lot of dumb stuff, and I got a lot of it pulled up right now. Uh, he said mammogram, sonogram, a bunch of other stuff. He didn't even know the difference between that. I mean, 1,000 billion, million, trillion. What an idiot. Democrat right there. Execute a pregnant woman? I don't know. I mean, why in the world would you say that? $29 a week can buy a lot of Diet Cokes. What kind of politician's talking about Diet Cokes? Collecting cans for prescription drug benefits. Yep, that's Al Gore. I was there with James Lee. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, look at there. Oh, he lied. Well, you know, Democrat. Al Gore, I've been a part of the discussions on the strategic reserve since the days when it was first established. However, President Ford established the Strategic Petroleum Reserves when he signed the Energy Policy and Conservation Act on December 22nd, 1975, 2 years before Al Gore became a congressman. Wow. All right. He also claimed that dogs' health care costs less than my mother-in-law's. Okay. Weird thing. He also became a dairy farm expert in a day. Who knew? He's an idiot. I mean,
Sounds a lot like Ronnie, Chris.
I knew I'd get Ronnie tore up. That's why I wanted to do it, because I could see in his face. He rolled his eyes at me. Ronnie, you can't deny you say a lot of outlandish things sometimes. And I just thought it was perfect after our second episode.
No, I kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty funny, but I don't know much about Al Gore.
Al Gore is a...
he's a class A idiot.
He kind of went away. Like, you not heard about Al Gore in a long time, and then all of a sudden he came back on the news a couple of weeks ago. Like, why did he just randomly pop back up? I guess because the election in 2000 he thought he won, and everybody proclaimed him president for about a month, and then it turned out it was Bush, which kind of just fits into Al Gore there. He's an idiot. So, all right, moving on. We're going to talk about the march, the Million MAGA March. It took place in Washington, D.C. I don't know if it was actually a million, but that's what they called it.
Where's the news at? Where's the news?
Oh, they don't talk about that.
I mean, this is one of the single largest grassroots marches that's ever took place in Washington. And where in God's name is the news? I guess it just didn't happen if we don't show it on the news, I guess.
It's pretty much like the Communist Party saying that the government should fund the news outlets so the American people won't have to watch the news. But it's no surprise that they're not going to show that. And it wasn't a march for a liberal agenda. It wasn't a march for a socialist agenda. It wasn't a march for killing babies. They've all broadcasted them marches quite often. And gay marriage, it wasn't a march for that either. So they're not going to show the march for supporters of the Republican Party and President Donald Trump. And I think it's even better. After that march, there was more Trump supporters, Republican Party members, took a march right through New York to the governor's house and wanted to make that clear that they're not going to stand for the socialism that is taking place in this country.
And let's be clear here, guys. As these thousands and thousands of people were gathered in marching, as they started to disperse and go back to their homes because they had to work the next day, more than likely, Antifa and Black Lives Matter come in and assaulted hundreds of this party, of this big march people. Man, guys, this country is in a horrible shape when we can't even get out and march for something we believe in. Where is the country that used to march with Martin Luther King? Where's all these people at that used to support this? And now, anytime you stand up for what you believe in, it's demonized. Hey, I would be all for the Black Lives Matter movement if they saw themselves as an equal march, as an equal group that stood on values that were equal, and that kind of respected everyone's beliefs. But they believe in, if you don't believe in us, we're going to absolutely demonize you, which is what Chris said earlier about the Communist Party. They want to alienate us. They want to look at your neighbor left and right, and they want you to see an evil person there if they don't agree with you. But I think that we need to really look into this as being, why did this million people come out and march? What are they marching for? They're marching because they support this president. And Donald J. Trump has created such a movement that working men and women in this country all are behind him. They get behind him because guess what? Guess what working men and women like to do, D-Train, Chris, and Ronnie? They like to work. They like to work and feel like they're doing something to actually contribute to society and actually put food on their table by their hard work. Where is that America gone?
Well, uh, you know, a lot of I think that they came out. It's not only is their support for Donald Trump, it's that Trump reinstilled a sleeping love for America that a lot of people kind of just went away from because Obama was president. And all it was doom and gloom forever. You know, Obama. I was thinking about this earlier when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about here, and I think really this episode's turned into mostly us talking about communism because that's what the Democratic Party is. I like to look as three key presidents as to why the Democratic Party is the way it is today. One is FDR. Now, FDR, I will say, did a great job going through the world wars. He led us through that. He got us out of the Great Depression with all his his programs. But I think those programs are, I mean, a lot of them are still around today to get people, back on their feet. But they kept it that way. They want you to rely on the government that way. Oh, you disagree with me, I can take it away from you. That's how the Democratic Party is now. Liberalism. It started with Bill Clinton. He started pushing a lot of liberal ideas. And then I think the probably the most worthless president in American history, Barack Obama. I'm sure if any liberal listens to this, they're going to call me racist just because I call Obama worthless. No, it's not because he's black. It's because he was an awful president. All he did was push division. Racism, when George Bush was president, it wasn't even really an issue. You hardly ever heard about that. And Obama becomes president, and everybody starts claiming, oh, you don't like his policies? Oh, you must be racist. You just don't like him because he's black. I mean, that aggravates me. And now the Democratic Party's took those three presidents and combined them all into one platform, and now they formed, and plus with communist values now, they're moving on those three presidents as platforms and their agendas and stuff, and combine it with communism to create like this communism on steroids, pretty much. And this country's just going in a dark age right now. If we don't maintain control of the Senate, we're in bad shape. D-Train, Ronnie.
Ronnie, you got anything to say?
Not really. There's not really much more to add. I agree with exactly what he said. If Republicans don't get back in control soon, which, be it at least by the next election, we're going to go through a difficult time in America. It's going to be pretty sad.
And if you're watching this out, oh, sorry, D-Train. If you're watching this out there, I mean, it sounds like we're just totally, and we are, I guess, totally just crapping on the Democratic Party. And it's not because of what the Democratic Party used to be. I think the two-party system in this country is great. We have a balance of power. One tries to get power and the other one tries to get power, and it creates a great unity in this country. But whenever we start demonizing the other side so much, as now listen, we're doing nothing different than what the Democratic Party has done the last 4 years to us Republicans. So I want people when they listen to our commentary on this, Understand that we're coming from a party that has stood up for our president and has repeatedly the last 4 years been crapped on. So yes, are we mad? Yes, we're mad. Or do we want evil things to happen to the other side? No. But we want them to be in check, and we will be here, and we will be a check on the other side. Every policy for the next 4 years, we will be here to voice our opinion. Because yes, the Republican Party, they may have kicked us this time, but let's make sure it don't happen again. So go on, D Train.
I was just going to say this real fast. I thought it was pretty funny that they had to come out and say this in the state of Georgia that you cannot move into Georgia to vote for the Senate race on January 5th because I'm guessing the liberals are trying to pack into Georgia to move in to vote on them Senate races because this is an extremely important race that the Republicans must take to keep control of the Senate so these radical socialist ideas do not pass through.
Well,
Very important, D Train. Very, very important.
like Nick said, I don't want anything bad. Like, I don't wish ill will on any Democrat. Uh, and maybe outside Nancy Pelosi, I can't stand her. But I just don't. I mean, it makes me sound like I'm just hardcore far right. I'm a hardcore conservative, which I mean, I am conservative. Uh, but I wish in this country there was more unity than what there is now. The Democratic Party has strayed so far away from what they were. It's hard to have unity with what they stand for. And you're
Yeah,
looking at a
yeah.
party that's pushing America's true core values that was founded on, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Democratic Party don't want that. Uh, they don't want you to be equal. They want everybody to be equal, and they want it equal in a way that's communist. Like I said in the last podcast, I mean, I keep reharping this stuff, but I'm hoping and praying that if somebody's liberal that just gives this podcast a chance, will open their eyes and realize what's going on. You got.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nate.
I mean, I just want to echo what you're saying there. So, when you look at Democrats and Republicans, I want people to, when they walk, I just don't want people to discredit us for our beliefs here. I want us to attract all sides, and we're open for debate, and we want to debate on the issues. But what has happened in this country is there has been such a divide and such malice that we have been pushed. Now think about this. When I think of the two parties, I think we started out here. If you're watching the video, you can see my hands are close together. We started out here, and as time has went on, we've inched apart so much that now there's so much in between us. It's hard to reach all the way over there and grab the other side and reach out and shake a hand on the other side. This country, we need to start coming back together. But as Chris just now said, it is so hard to come back together on these hot button issues. Democratic Party needs to get back to what they always stood on. Well, now we can. They like government. They think government should be what we stand on, and that is their belief. They think that the more government, the better. More regulation, better. Republicans have always thought of less government and all that stuff. We've thought of less government, the less government, the better. That's why we are conservative. We want to be conservative with our values, with our government choices. The Democrats have been a little different on that. That's what made our country great. And until we get back to where these are talking together and we're actually doing things together again, this country will never move forward, no matter if it's far right or far left. We've got to come together. I mean, plain and simple. No matter what happens, we're Americans first. We have to come together. Now that don't mean, Chris, Ronnie, and Detroit, don't mean that we have to sit here and just eat the vomit that the Democratic Party's been giving out to us. It's just let's plead to them. Give us something to work on. Let's work on something together. One thing.
Well, that's like, back when all these George Floyd and all that stuff happened, and they was bashing police left and right, this and that. You had, I think it was that senator from South Carolina, I believe. Maybe it's Tim Scott,
Yeah,
I
it
think is
was.
his name. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Uh, he introduced a police reform bill, and if you read it, it had a lot of good valid points. They wanted to take
Great
money,
deal.
And use it for more training, more cultural training. But the Democrats shut that down in a heartbeat. They filibustered it, I'm pretty sure. Didn't even give it a chance because it wasn't what they wanted. It wasn't their terms. Just like the stimulus. The first stimulus was agreed upon. It was pretty basic. It is what it is. I think that's what it should be now. Honestly, I think another 1,200 should be sent out to people that need it. I don't think we need to be giving money to illegal immigrants that come here. But that's what the Democratic Party stands for. I really do, honestly, I would love to have a Democrat come on here. I'd love it. I'd like to know why they believe the way they do. Like, I've not been able to have a productive conversation with a true Democrat in a long time. Because as soon as they say you're a Republican, oh, you like Trump? Oh, you're racist. That's the first thing they say. Like, they don't even get to know you as a person or get to know your beliefs.
I'm
I'm a
going to get
Republican because I
Peppa
love
on here
America.
to Chris. Jeremy.
Well, I couldn't do that. But I'm a Republican just simply because I love America. This country is great. It's the greatest country in the world. Let's be honest. There's no other country in this world I'd rather live in. I'm glad I grew up right here in Pike County in Eastern Kentucky. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I mean, guys, we've been blessed where we live. We really have been.
The idea that America sucks, that's stupid. It's okay to love where you're from. You're not going to agree with everything. I don't agree with everything that Donald Trump ever did. I mean, I'm going to agree on some stuff. I'm going to disagree on some other things. Do I think Trump should have hushed every now and then? Absolutely. Do I agree with some things that Democrats want to do? Absolutely. That's the way it should be. But now, as long as they're pushing these communist and socialist ideas, I will never be able to agree with a Democrat until they go away from that. All right, so moving on, we got some Senate and House news. Democrats are urging their House members not to join Team Biden because they're worried about losing the House majority. They had I think it was the former caucus chair leader. I'm not really sure what it is. He left to be a part of Biden's team, and after that, they started going crazy talking about how you shouldn't be leaving because they don't want to lose a majority. That right there doesn't show you that they're more interested about power than helping the American people. Then I don't know what will as well. And also, there was a big mask dispute went on. There was a big fight in the Senate, actually. Ted Cruz called somebody a name because he was talking to somebody else about wearing a mask while he was talking. I think it's pretty dumb if you're sitting. I mean, they've spaced everybody out in the Senate. They do COVID testing. They ain't got COVID. I mean, COVID's going around. I mean, they're going to get it eventually. But, I mean, the people that's in there tested negative. So I don't understand why you should have to have a mask on while you're sitting there talking. That'd be like us right now. We're all separated in our own houses. Why in the world would I have a mask on if I'm talking to you over the computer? That's pretty much what they want. I can't wait for Joe Biden whenever he comes into office there, and him and Kamala Harris. So, God, she's liberals. All get out. Just shut us down for 3 months because COVID, big bad scary. I don't know. It's just I want to get your thoughts on that. Ronnie ain't really talked much this podcast. I guess you're just sitting there just twiddling your thumbs. Get some words in, son. Voice your opinion.
Yeah, Ron.
Or you're going to be the winner of the next Ron because you just sit here.
No, I think that the mask craze is really it's what it is. It's a craze. It's insane. You're driving in your vehicle. It kills me when I'm driving through Pikeville and I see people in their vehicle, nobody in there but them. They got a friggin' mask on. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. But I don't know.
That's your opinion, Ronnie. That's your opinion.
That's who we elected as president, though. He could be out in a 50-acre field, no one around him, and by George, he's got the biggest mask on you've ever seen in your life. So, I don't know.
That's what Donald J. Trump said.
Yeah, and I'd say when the pandemic's over, I'd say that they'll still be trying to sell masks, still trying to be telling people to wear them, honestly, and it's pitiful, but I don't know. They'll say, well, you don't want the common code, put on a mask.
Well, they done said that there's been experts come out and say, "Oh, we're going to be wearing masks for 2 to 3 years." Like, bull crap.
Not this guy.
You got till about the end of January for me, and then I'm just going around doing whatever. If I get COVID, I get it. If I die, I die. Survival of the fittest.
But it's I could be mistaken, but I believe wasn't they going off on the Democratic senator from West Virginia because he wasn't wearing a mask during a speech, and he stated that I'm 22 foot away from anybody around, and I'm speaking. Why do I need to wear a mask? And then it just all blew up. Um, yeah, it's like our governor in our state, Bashir. If you want kids to go back to school, you need to wear a mask at home when you're around your kids. Yeah, he's a
Okay.
joke. Yeah, he's a joke. He's no different than the federal Democrats that's been put in office, but I think it's all just laughable. Yeah, I mean, if you're going out, you're going into a congested area, wear your mask so you can protect others just in case you're carrying a virus. No big deal. But if you're telling me to wear my mask sitting in my car or sitting in my house or not around people and way over 6 foot from people, then I'm just going to laugh at you and I'm going to go on about my day. I think it's all just a big joke.
How about Governor Gavin Newsom of
Oh God, let me see.
California? His whole state jumped all over him, was upset with him because he put this big group ban on people. You know, you can't have so many people in one group, you know, because of COVID. And then over the weekend, he's called it a big party, a big shindig going on. How about that? Won't we practice what we preach here, Gavin?
Oh, didn't you know, Ronnie? That stuff don't apply to the Democrats. It don't apply to them. They only tell you what to do. They can do whatever they want, though. I mean, that's just about
And
the way it works.
that's just like Andy Bashir uh, trying to shut down sports in Kentucky for high school athletes until the KHSAA took a stand against him, thank God. But that was just like him trying to shut down Kentucky high school sports and his son playing in Tennessee. Oh, well, you're going to shut down our sports. Tennessee's got COVID just as much as we do. Why does your son get to play over there? It's ignorant, buddy.
No comment.
Yeah, I can't really say much, sir. I'll get fired. But anyhow,
I sure can. You can come on at me, Governor Andy Bashir. You're a joke and you need out of office.
well, I'll be voting for that in a couple of years. How many years we got? 3. Then we'll be voting for that again.
And I'm
Daniel
counting down the
Cameron,
days.
Counting
Daniel
down
Cameron, please
every
run.
single day. Yeah, Daniel Cameron got. If you hear this, Daniel Cameron, please, please, please run, please.
Like this whole, it killed me. I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad, but I at first thought when this pandemic first started, I thought that Andy Bashir was doing a great job. I mean, he was being, he was kind of upbeat. He was like, guys, we're going to have to take, 2 weeks to slow the spread. Well, we're on day 259 to slow the spread. That's been the longest 2 weeks of my life. We're here. We all wore a mask back in, when did it start? March, late March. We started wearing a mask in April and June. July. I understood that. That was the first 3 months of it. And then, here we are. It went to August. He puts a mask mandate out. The mask mandate, everybody, I've wore one every time I went into a business, just because I want to be a responsible American, in case I was asymptomatic or something. But now, this just keeps, if the mask were so effective, why does COVID keep spreading like it is? Because it's a virus. It's a transmissible virus. That's how it works. I don't care. You can put yourself in a bubble. You touch something, a virus can live on that. You touch your face, there you go. You got it. That's how a virus works. It's gotten ridiculous. And Joe Biden's going to be president. It's going to get 10 times worse. The whole country's going to shut down. It ain't just going to be your local essential businesses staying open and restaurants are all drive-through. We ain't going to be able to leave the house. You'll probably have a curfew about, you can leave the house. You got an hour to go get your groceries. You better hurry. You ain't gonna be able to do nothing. You ain't gonna be able to go see your family. They're already wanting to cancel Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'll be a dead man before they let me stop having Thanksgiving and Christmas. I tell you that right now. I gotta have my turkey, my apple pie, my banana pudding. I'm not sitting in the house with no banana pudding on Thanksgiving. I can tell you that. So, and I want to see my family. A lot of the time, that's the only time we ever get together in the year. I'm gonna see my family. If I get COVID and I die from it, you know what? I'm going to a better place. Is what it is. If I die from COVID, that's how it's meant to be.
I'd rather have all the Thanksgiving food sneezed on by COVID patients. By George, I'm still going to eat it. Thanksgiving comes around once a year. That's my favorite holiday. And by George, I'm gonna eat my little heart out. Now, if I pass out and die, then I pass out and die. They
I
ain't
don't
taking
know
my
if any of us
Thanksgiving.
got little hearts. Our hearts are probably expanding, trying to beat through all this fat we got.
Lord, boys, I just tell you, y'all got me thinking. Lord, I cannot wait for that sweet potatoes. I can't wait for that turkey, green beans. Lord, have my dressing. God,
Hold on.
Yams,
We're
ham,
2 weeks
rolls, you
away.
name it.
We're 2 weeks away, boys. I'm excited as all get out.
it's a fat man's Christmas, son. Fat man's Christmas.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what like it said. Joe Biden's rules for Thanksgiving. I mean, come on, man. I'm just gonna say like
Rules
he
for
said to Trump.
what's the
Will
rules for
you shut
Thanksgiving?
up, man? Will you shut up, man? That's what I'm gonna say. He said no more than 10 in your household. They all have to test negative the day of, and y'all have to wear a mask. No, sorry. Uh, I
How
don't
can
think
you
anybody can
how
do that.
can you stuff your how can you take your spoon and fork and get all that good turkey and all that cranberry sauce and all that dressing? How can you get it put it through the mask? Have you figured that out yet, you all?
I don't know. I guess you have to cut a hole in it, kind of just like let
You're
it
like
go into
We,
your
you're
lips.
like
I
me
we
don't
and
get
know.
that
Ronnie
one
and
that guy made on Facebook. It had the little flap, just pull a string, it'd flap up, and you can eat right through it.
hey, I guarantee you, if there's a way, we all can find it because I'll eat the
Oh,
daggone mask to
absolutely,
get that freaking turkey.
absolutely. I'm not
There
really a
was a
turkey
picture on
stuff.
Facebook of a guy he cut a hole out in his mask and was smoking a cigarette through it.
Yeah,
Is that DJ Robert?
you all know as
Yeah.
much as I do. Coming up here, probably tomorrow or next week, what kind of regulations Governor Bashir is going to come out with. And it's going to be the same regulations that he had for Easter. We got to slow the spread. Well, guess what, bud? We ain't been able to slow the spread for 6 months. So it ain't going to happen. I'm going to eat Thanksgiving with my family,
Yeah,
and yeah,
I
I don't
mean
care if you like it or not.
that's my whole
Can
gripe.
you say
Is
amen?
we fought and fought and fought. We
Amen.
all job back in those early months of this, but a lot of people's just grown tired of this deal of all they've got on there. Heck, I've been happy to read stuff about the election because you ain't really heard about COVID. It kind of just died off. I mean, they criticized the Million MAGA march there, but by God, they had a big old group party on Washington D.C. out there at the street at the White House because Biden won. But no, they don't talk about that. Oh, that's a COVID free right there. Everybody tested negative. They only went out there because they tested negative. Uh, I'm just sick of COVID. I'm sick of 2020. I'm ready to move on. Uh, now I got a. This is actually Nate. You mentioned earlier how the Democrats won this time. I mean, let's be honest, it's going to be an uphill climb for Trump to get back in there unless something's found. I want to ask everybody, who is your personal pick in 2024 for president and vice president ticket in the Republican Party? I'm gonna go first. I'm sure that a couple of us probably have the same one. My pick as president for the Republican Party is gonna be Ted Cruz. I love Ted Cruz. I think he is like Nate said before, he's a fighter for liberty in this country. He's a constitutionalist. He backs the Constitution. And my vice president with him to run on that same ticket, I hope it's Marco Rubio. I think that's the winning ticket. Marco Rubio's the same way. He fights. He fights for the people. He's done a good job down there in Florida. And that right there would be my winning ticket if I was the GOP. So whoever wants
My
to go
turn.
next.
Mine is Donald J. Trump and Mike Pence. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I mean,
Guys,
it could happen.
listen. Grover Cleveland was the last president to be non-consecutively elected, and I'm going to predict that Donald J. Trump is the second.
So you'll have one Democrat that wasn't elected to consecutive terms and one Republican. Kind of how funny how it comes full circle there. All right, D-Train, what's your winning ticket for the GOP?
Well, I was gonna put Ted Cruz in, but I want to be a little different, so I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. I think your presidential candidate will be Mike Pence, and your vice president will be Tim Scott.
It's
Right.
it's pretty cool.
Oh well, I kind of like Ted Cruz, and I kind of agree with you on Ted Cruz, but I know it probably won't happen because he's so meek and
John
humble,
Case.
but I wish Rand Paul would win the presidency. I love Rand Paul, but he kind of also on the debate stage he gets butchered. So I don't know. I guess I'll go with. I thought they trying to say something. I'd like to go with Ted Cruz, like you said, but I guess since you picked him, I would go with Rand Paul. Now, vice president pick, I really don't have a clue. I'll be honest with you.
I will say this real fast too. If you want to go about who we think who will run, it's up to you, Chris.
Who we think's going to run?
Yeah.
Well, I already know a few that's going to run for sure. They ran in 2016. You're definitely going to have Ted Cruz there. You're going to have Marco Rubio. You're going to have the governor of Florida, I believe, Ron DeSantis will run. I think the governor of Arizona is going to run. I can't remember his name. I think Pence will be there. I think that all depends if Donald Trump decides to run again. If Trump runs again, I think he'll use the same vice president. I mean, they may end up on the same debate stage though together. You never know. The American people may want Mike Pence and Donald Trump be vice president. Wouldn't that be a turn of events? Let's see. I think I'm not really sure. Honestly, I don't know of any other like Republican guys out there that are like begging or priming themselves for a presidential run.
Well,
I think that's a good thing. I think they mostly they all got in Donald Trump's corner and they're kind of fighting for him, which I think is pretty cool. So that's why I think Donald Trump, if he throws his hat in the race again, I think they're going to you may have a few that will jump out there and try to beat him, but I think it'll be an easy run for him. What are you saying, D-Train?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold that Trump is going to run again. So if Donald Trump doesn't run again, I would probably look for Donald Trump Jr. to run. That could be a possibility for him. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Nikki Haley runs. And
Forgot about her. She'd be a good one, honestly.
Just to name a few. And anybody else got any others? I don't think Rand Paul's going to run again.
No, Rand Paul, he's a good senator. He would not be a good president. He's too radical on his libertarian views.
He's found a
I
good
like that. But,
senator.
Yeah,
I've also heard that Mike Pompeo
run.
might run.
Yeah, I've heard that
Mike
too.
Pompeo might run, but Rick Scott, a senator from Florida. I've also heard that Texas governor might be running as well.
I think that Texas governor, though, would probably lose out of that state to Ted Cruz. But
yeah, I think guys, most likely, in my opinion, most likely, Donald Trump don't run again. I think Donald Trump runs. I think they all get behind him.
Yeah,
if Donald Trump don't run, you'll have a few like Jeb Bush, Mitt Romney might try to run again.
Yeah, they'll have the finality of the debates, but
yeah, but in reality, I think that if Donald Trump don't run, I think it's very possible. I don't think Mike Pence will run without Donald Trump at this time, right now. I think that Ted Cruz will be your guy. I think he's a lead.
See, that's the thing. Now. Here's the difference in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Like, I don't know of any like younger Democratic people right now that are primed for a presidential run after they get rid of their old low-timey ones. Like, the Democratic Party for the last while just used all their regulars. They had Barack Obama in 2008. They had Al Gore run in 2000. I can't remember who the guy was running against George Bush in 2004. I think it was John Kerry.
Yeah.
And they went to the well with Hillary Clinton. They went down that well several times, and then they finally got Joe Biden in after his fifth attempt. Who else are they going to throw out there? There's no one else you can really throw out there unless they try to run Hillary Clinton again.
Maxine Waters.
Lord God, if Bernie Sanders don't kick a bucket, they'll try to get him in there. If he don't kick a bucket between now and then, he'll be.
Bernie's lost out on his chance to be president. So, but the Republican Party's got guys that are there that are all honestly would all have good qualities to be president. You got Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Texas, the governor of Arizona. All those guys. You got Mike Pence in case Trump don't run. You never know. Pence may come in and want to be president. You never know. But the Republican Party has guys that I'm sure that they'll be willing to put their stock behind. Like the winning ticket, honestly, I really think if Trump doesn't run again in 2024, would be Cruz and Rubio. That would be the two guys. Rubio's going to pull in some of those, those Cuban votes, those votes down there in Florida. That I think a lot would show out for them. And Ted Cruz is going to get all the true Republican conservatives just because he's a constitutionalist and these conservatives all get out. And I have no idea who the Democrat Party would have running there because Biden's not going to run again. I mean, he's going to be too old. I don't even think he's going to make it through his first term. Our first female president is going to be Kamala Harris, and that's going to be a formality because Joe Biden's going to end up being took out of office in 2 years or less.
Well, for the Democratic Party, you'll probably have Pete, what is it, Buttigieg or whatever. He'll run again, most likely.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
He's gay. Vote for him. That's all they want. They say he's gay. Let's vote for him.
But here's the thing. I've got this pulled up. So the ages of individuals that ran for the Democratic ticket. You got Bernie Sanders, which is 79 years old. You've got Elizabeth Warren, aka Pocahontas. She is 71 years old. Michael Bloomberg, 78. Amy Klobuchar, 60.
Mini Mike.
Tom Stewart or whatever is 63. David Patrick, 64. Michael Bennett, 55. Andrew Yang is 45.
Andrew Yang.
And then you had Gabbard, she's 39. Then Pete is 38. What happened to young people wanting to run for president?
And the Democratic Party going to buy? Because they're all old people and all these they're just promising all these free programs to young people and they're trying to get them back in that party. You gotta look at the Republican Party. There's a lot younger people in the Republican Party ready to run. Like Ted Cruz is just 49. I mean, the Republican Party's got younger candidates. I mean, that's who I'd want to go for. They're younger. They're going to be able to relate more to us.
Yeah.
But anybody? I guess we'll have our closing statements like we did in the last one, real fast. I'll let Ronnie go first. So Ronnie, give your closing remarks.
Well, I kind of tend to agree about Joe Biden not making it through a full first term. He's going to be the oldest president we've ever had, as it is. And going into it, his mind's already gone, so there's that. And he can't form a coherent sentence to save his life. But, yeah, I think that the Democratic Party, for the most part, has gone socialist. And socialism and communism. Communism and socialism's big brother. So when socialism grows up and you get so far into it, you're going to be communist. I mean, that's just how it is. Unless you see right through the Iron Curtain. But I think that it is time for Republicans and conservatives and traditional Democrats, older Democrats who are still with the old Democratic Party, to open their eyes and realize that they need to plant their foot in the ground against this new liberal socialist movement and say, okay, this is our country. You're not gonna ruin it. We're not gonna be Soviet Russia. We're not gonna be China. So I think that this country, we need someone with a backbone to stand up and develop a following and say, listen, our country's not going to be, turned to just straight up communist. We're not going to allow that.
Nate, D-Train, whoever wants to give their closing remark.
Go on, D-Train.
Yeah, so the next 4 years for the Republican Party is going to be big. Republican Party needs to keep at it, and I'm sure they will keep making the news. Well, no, I'm playing. The news don't like carrying Republicans, but once Newsmax and all these new conservative networks start hitting the TV, then it's going to be a big time thing. And also, if Donald Trump loses, they're talking about Trump TV coming out, which should be exciting. I'm ready to watch that. Um, but no, it's going to be a big 4 years, and the main important things for Republicans is we've got to keep control of the Senate here come January 5th and vote in both Republican candidates. We need to take the House in 2 years. Do not think Joe Biden will make it 4 years, so we've got to shut down Kamala Harris and all her socialist agenda. We've got to get Nancy Pelosi out as Speaker of the House because all she likes doing is ripping up speeches. Next, she'll probably start ripping up the Bible. Wouldn't be surprised about that. And we just we've got a lot of work ahead of us as young conservatives as we are. The young people in this country, we're going to have to really stand up for what we believe in, and we can't just jump on the train of what's the best thing in this. No, we've got to stand for what we believe in. We got to stand firm. We got to stand for the Constitution of this country, for the First Amendment, the Second Amendment rights. They're not going to come in here and take my guns. I can promise you that. So we have to stand firm for what we believe in.
Yeah, guys, and forgive my crying child, but I just want to say, if you're watching this and you're seeing and you disagree with us, or if you agree with us, get on here and comment on us. Follow us on our channel. Tell your friends about us. We're just some local guys here in Eastern Kentucky trying to make a podcast. And as Ronnie just said, I'm a preacher, and just out here trying to spread the good news of Jesus Christ. And I know it's not a religious podcast, but come on, and let's talk. Let's talk about politics, and let's try to have a good civil discussion. Comment, and if you're a big time liberal and you come from that viewpoint, get a hold of me, Chris, D Train, or Ronnie. Tell us you want to come on. We'll bring you on for a segment. We'd love to have people come on. But I'm going to echo what everyone said here. We are. It's a time as President Reagan's great speech. It's now a time for choosing. What kind of America do we want? Do we want an America that's controlled by government, that every aspect of your life is controlled, or do we want to be free? And we're going to put it out to our listeners. What do you want to be? Do you want to be free, or do you want to be ruled by government? If you're safe with government, hey, that's on you. For one, I want to be free. So that's my closing remarks, Chris. On to you, buddy.
If I had anything to say that I hope got across to anybody that listens to this, is to open your eyes to what's going on in America today. The media is a bunch of, it's fake news, as Trump says. It's a bunch of lies. The CNN, MSNBC, and heck, even Fox News, outside of a couple of people on that channel now, are liberal, and they're all pushing the same agenda. You're only seeing one side of things. So, open your eyes and do some research as to what's going on behind the scenes, what they don't tell you on the media. Communism is growing in this country. It's honestly, I'm just going to skip ahead and say socialism isn't even a factor anymore. It's communism. Socialism is the first step to communism. They've done introduced socialism, and they've got people on board. Now it's going to full-fledged communism. Open your eyes. Your freedoms are at risk. If you don't, I'm not telling people, and I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I'm not going to tell you how to believe. I just think that a lot of people don't do research, and they just jump onto whatever they see on TV. I myself, growing up, considered myself a Democrat. You want to know why? Because I only listened to who was in my house, who was telling me what I seen on TV. And then I got to researching when I got old enough to realize what was going on, and figured out, oh, my values. I'm a pretty big conservative. The American values are what makes this country great, and if we go away from that, we're going to be a country that goes down under fast. Communism has no place in America. We fought it for so long, and I hate that now it's infiltrated us into one of our parties, and they're trying to take it over by silencing the other party. But that's all I got. The next episode, we planned on doing that this episode, but Masson wasn't able to be on, and we'd like to have him on for that. Everybody, put your tinfoil hats on because we're going to be doing conspiracy theories, political, non-political, whatever we want to talk about. It's going to be It's going to be a conspiracy theory episode of the Fundamentals of America. I'm sure. I can't wait to see what everybody's got planned out for that. We do. I know we mentioned a special guest earlier in the first episode. We're not going to announce that yet because we ain't got a date set up. Unless D-Train wants to do that. You want to wait on that, D-Train, or you want to announce it at a later date?
Well, we can announce it at a later date.
Alrighty. Well, once we get that figured out, we'll put it up on our Facebook page. I'd like to let everybody know we are on Anchor. We're on the video edition of this podcast will be up on YouTube. And we're also on Apple Podcasts. I'm not really sure how it gets uploaded there. I guess Anchor's doing that for me, and I will get that link out on our Facebook page. So if y'all are on a long road trip or bored at home and you want something to listen to and you just want something to listen to a bunch of old holler boys just spout their opinions, give us a chance. And if you're a liberal and want to come on and debate us, you can be partners with Ronnie, as D-Train said before. But that's all I got for the 606 Conservatives, for D-Train, Nate, and Ronnie. I'd like to say thank you and see you next time. D-Train, call us out.
Yeet!